apft.org.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to the entire United States. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet. Created by whom? We the people. Created by whom? You did. Controlled by whom now? The billionaires. Something that we have to recover. Something that we have to take back. It's a lot of stuff we got to take back from those who took it, what I always say, who stole it legally. What that means is the laws were created in such a manner that they could take it. But without further ado, let's go to El Estudio to listen to our brothers from, the ones who really make things happen. Buenos dias, mis hermanos. Good morning, my brothers. How are you doing today?
Well, good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday morning at the radio, the 24th of April, 2025, just a couple of minutes after 6 o'clock in the morning, and good morning to you. Hope all is well. Looks like we have a full page of wisdom from Jack this morning. He's been in here busily writing his wisdom, so let's hear it.
All right. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, Jack. We're great, especially given that we are going to get some wise words out of you at this point.
All right. Trump wants to bribe women to have more babies as he guts Head Start and SNAP. What does he want with more babies? Voters or soldiers? In these times when someone offers you a pile of money as incentive to have more babies or vouchers for enrollment in private or charter schools, rest assured you're being scammed. Yeah, you are. Don't take the bait. Don't be a fish on a hook. Don't let a short-term windfall set you and your child up for failure. 5 or 10 grand does not go very far these days and amounts to chump change that won't support your baby or pay for private school. Trump's real goal is to flip public education to for-profit education. They only want the profit, and they want the public to provide it. In their basic scheme of privatize the profits, socialize the cost.
Well, Jack, I think you hit it there on the head. He wants to, let's have more babies. Well, okay, that's fine.
I wouldn't be bringing babies into the world under this kind of administration. What's going to happen? What could happen? No way.
No, not at all. And they don't care about the child after it's here. They just want, they're birthers is what they are. Oh, the beauty of birth and the giving life. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, okay, on to the next thing.
I'm over that.
Yeah, I'm done with that. Yeah, it costs a lot to raise a child. I've done one. Roberto, you've done one. Jack, you've managed to miss that bullet.
I'm mentally challenged there.
I don't regret having my daughter at all. She came at a time when I had absolutely no insurance whatsoever. I was working multiple jobs, trying to keep my head above water. And to add that, it's like, oh, great. So she came out of my back pocket at a time when I couldn't rub 2 nickels together. But they don't always come when you want them to. And the timing is never right. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Well, you mean you didn't hijack me anymore, Howard? Yesterday you caused an entire 27-minute detour. Did you know that?
I thought I would leave you alone today.
To all our beautiful listeners, Howard had such a smart thing to say that I had to say, you know what? That's what the program needed to be about. A 27-minute detour from our one and only Howard Reynolds. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. I want to welcome in the chat Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. We also have Joanne from Los Angeles, California. We have Eric Hayes from King with a Tescasita. And in our Substack so far, we have, I didn't get it from the beginning, so forgive me if I don't call you out. Randall Baxley, Angson Drew, AOCM, Christy MacArthur, Dee Debbie Thomas, Stephen Menu, Claude Newhall, Randall Baxley, who says, enjoy your babies and send robots to any war. But first, no war. And then, of course, there's the Old Hollywood newsletter. So thank you guys for being here. You are appreciated. Please remember to share both our Substack newsletter, share our videos, our audios, everything. That is how we get to move our data here. We are lucky again to have, remember, first of all, we want to give Bruce Pollard a big, humongous thank you for sitting in for the someone that is very hard to sit in for, El Señor Neil Aquino. But Neil Aquino is back from his voyage to New York, having fun for 2 weeks. This guy deserved taking that week off to go ahead and have some fun in New York. So we are happy to have him back on Thursday. You know, Thursdays is Neil Aquino's day. Gail Akunis on Substack, Bruno Guarini, Suzette Jensen. Welcome aboard to our Substack live as well. Neil Aquino, the floor is yours. Welcome back.
Oh boy, it's great to be back. Thank you. And was in New York City. I saw all the sights. You know, I've been hearing about, never seen them, the Empire State Building, Central Park. Been hearing about them all my life, and they're real. They're not, they're not internet hoaxes. They're there, and you can't beat it with the Statue of Liberty. And they still celebrate all the different people at the Statue of Liberty who come to America, and puts an optimistic spin on it. And I know the history and the reality, but still it was a little bit painful to be there and know the current reality. So let's hope they don't mess with the displays there and change all the words. But it's a great thing. It's great to be back.
Okay, apparently we have an echo on your side that I have to figure out exactly what's going on. So I am going to ask our list. I think this is occurring on the internet. I am going to have to check one thing here. But anyway, as we continue, Neil, tell me a little bit about what you're feeling. Earlier when we spoke about the Statue of Liberty, you said it kind of gave you a certain feeling. What was that all about?
Right. Just as I was saying, it was, people were there from all over the world. There's this very well done video screen. You take a picture there, and you put with the picture what country you're from. It appears on the screen 2 minutes later, and into it makes a mosaic in the shape of the Statue of Liberty. And so all these people from around the world were there. Everyone's in a good mood. It's freezing cold. It's about a week ago now. Couldn't have been colder. And just to be there and see people still believing in it or believing in what it could represent. Then over to Ellis Island, same thing. Really well done, nice displays. The big grand hall where my Italian relatives came and many others. It was really impressive. And so it was stayed in Chinatown, immigrants everywhere. And you really saw what things are like, rather than how Trump and all these people would have them be.
Excellent. All right, to the users on the internet, please let me know if the echo is still there or is the echo is gone from Neil Aquino. I just went and made some adjustments and hope, by all hopes, that I got that settled. If not, just let me know. Welcome aboard, Sophia Moreau, Ellen Sarro, Ellen Henderson, Randall Bakley. You had it for 2 seconds. I had it for 2 seconds. What about now? Neil, just tell them hello one more time. Let's see if we've got that echo taken care of.
All right. Hello. We're looking to be out of the echo chamber.
All right. Thank you, my man. Anyway, we have a first caller. We're going to jump and go to that before we get into your part because I don't want to leave them hanging. So come on in, John.
Hey, Beto. Good morning, and good morning to all the gentlemen in the studio. They always make me think about what I'm getting ready to say because school vouchers is such is a pet peeve of mine. Because to me, they're trying to reestablish segregation through economics. But anyway, that really wasn't my point. But Ellis Island and the Statue of Liberty remind me of one thing: why people come here, and it's free speech. And that's what I'm exercising right now, free speech. And that's what PBS means to me. So when you attack PBS, then I'm going to fight back. And that's what's happening. And so I get a feed from the AP. And yesterday, I believe, or maybe it was the day before, I received the feed, and I looked at the headlines from the AP, who since I was a kid, always pay attention to the AP. And that said, President Donald Trump has said he has no plans to fire the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell. And what I did is I wrote a message back to the AP and said, "You're doing us an injustice. You're giving Trump." So while Trump is attacking the AP, and you're giving him free publicity for something that he can't do. Instead of telling the public, hey, Trump can't do this. And so anybody, just like you said, I listened to you in the morning, I listened to you at 3 o'clock, and both times you said one thing. If you don't have to believe me, all you have to do is look it up. And so you can go look up, can the President of the United States fire back from the Federal Reserve Chair?
You know, John, I think you bring up a very important point. Let me interrupt you a second to say this. Because you are so right. When AP reports it like Donald Trump decided that he's not going to fire Powell, it gives the impression but he could have legally have done it. As opposed to Donald Trump does not have the constitutional right to fire Powell. I mean, you are so right in seeing the distinction there. And that is how Donald Trump gets over with doing things. Okay, I'm not going to do it. But by accepting that he says he's not going to do it, what happens is it gives the impression that he could if he decided and wanted to do it. That's a very, very good observation, brother.
Well, I'm never going to get off of the press because I think the press is the key to us turning this thing around. And what it does is it empowers people. Some of the callers you have who call you for no reason other than to try to get you in a ha I got you moment, and it never happens because you don't accept anything but the truth. And that's what I told them. You should be telling the truth. You want to be better? Tell the truth and say, no, Trump can't do that. Your headlines need to be adjusted. And we cannot let the press get away with it. It's what's happened over the last 8 years with people like MSNBC and CNN. They're trying to tell you the news, but they're reporting it wrong. And Trump is a propagandist, and he's out of Russia, just like Russia. And he's taken that book and said, this is how propaganda is. It's how Stephen Miller does. It's what Bannon does.
Absolutely. Let me get Neil's thoughts on that. Neil, you want to give us some thoughts on that?
Hey, brother, I'm not able to hear the caller.
Oh, okay. I think you can now, right? Go ahead and continue, John. I'm still messing with these signals. John?
Well, it's what happens is when you have a story reported, and that's really an important thing to attack Trump, and MSNBC may report it for 15 minutes, but then you never hear about it again. And I'm saying you have to stay on it. People don't challenge Trump. He does this kind of stuff at the press conferences and gets away with it. Why? Because reporters know that if they fight it, they'll get banned from the room. And
exactly.
Then they can't do their job. And that's a form of extortion, just like he did to Ukraine, just like he's doing with every state, just like the school voucher program, and people like Abbott are falling for it. And so what happens is you have to deal with people who call you, like Brian, and there's another guy who calls in, Martin, I believe, yesterday. They call in, and that feeds them. They think that's correct, that Trump can fire the guy. Why? Because they're ignorant. And you can overcome ignorance. But
exactly.
many times it becomes stupidity, and then you can't learn. And all I
Exactly.
say is do what Egberto asks you to do. Look it up. Just look it up. That's all you have to do. Anyway,
Thank you,
that's
my
my.
brother. Appreciate your input.
Thank you for being there. Thank you for being there.
I really do appreciate your input.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother. You have a great rest of your day. And thank you for listening to both programs, both the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock. You have a wonderful day.
And now, Egberto, I'm not able to hear you.
Go ahead, Neil. Neil, were you saying something? Oh, I guess Neil doesn't hear me now, folks. We're still working out a few little kinks where I think Neil has an issue with hearing me. So let me get a few things taken care of right now, just make sure that he can hear me, and then I will be. I wonder what's going on there. Let's see. Bear with me a second. We got to make sure that this stuff that works okay. I think he can hear me now, though.
Now I can, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And we'll work on the echo a little bit later. All right. And that is for the people online that are hearing that echo. All right. Let's see here. Neil, you have some issues to discuss right now with the with your blogs.
Great. So Houston Democracy Project, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. I just want to quickly reference the May 3rd election. There are May 3rd elections in Houston and Harris County, and I'm making a list at HoustonDemocracyProject.com of some suggested and recommended candidates. So I won't go over the whole list, but Humble, Pasadena, Spring Branch ISD, Katy ISD, Clear Creek, San Jacinto College Board, Manville, Alvin, Pearland, Brazosport, Fort Bend ISD, South Houston, and other communities. If you're in one of those communities, you have a May 3rd ballot. Early voting has begun. It ends April 29th. You can go to HoustonDemocracyProject.com to the blog, and there's a list of some recommended candidates there. If you have questions, you can do further research. But these are important elections. These people aren't running to get rich. They're not running to get powerful, famous. They're running local races. But you know a lot of the Project 2025, the Moms for Liberty, these things start in local communities. So if you're in one of these communities where there's an election, and if you know somebody in Humble, Pasadena, Spring Branch, Katy, Clear Creek, Manville, Alvin, Pearland, Brazosport, Fort Bend, South Houston, get the names, call them, tell them. 10 votes may make the difference. And those elections are May 3rd with early voting through April 29th. And I've lost you again.
No, I think I'm back. That was my mic. I think you can hear me now. All right, look, thank you for that, Neil. Neil, what are your thoughts about the about what's happening with folks like Lisa McCurskin, what she had to say recently?
So I recently posted. So Lisa Murkowski recently said. And let me go back to the post. Lisa Murkowski recently said that she was afraid to speak. She was afraid to oppose Trump because of retaliation. And when she mentions retaliation, she's not just talking about, political. She's talking about physical threats. Murkowski said, I'm oftentimes very anxious about using my voice because retaliation is real. And then I in my blog post about this, I comment from a Vanity Fair article about someone who talked about his own safety. He was going to oppose Trump. This was a member of Congress. And because we try to keep it local here on Thursdays in the Houston Democracy Project, there are 6 Republicans on Houston City Council. I'm always emphasizing contact Houston City Council. Ramirez, Carter, Peck, Flickinger, Huffman, and Davis. Here at the local level, they're cutting aid to FEMA. They're cutting the National Weather Service. They're cutting NOAA. They are cutting funds to the Texas Medical Center that according to Channel 11 and other sources, are going to cut hundreds, if not more, jobs and important research. the 6 Republicans on council, Ramirez, Carter, Davis, Peck, Flickinger, and Huffman, should speak up. And you can contact council. You go to Houston, Texas, HoustonTextCX.gov. You can go to my blog, the Houston Democracy Project, the April 21st post. There's information on contacting council. When Sheila Jackson Lee, rest her soul, ran for mayor, they were putting everything on her. They were putting, oh, you said to fund the police. She hadn't said that. Why? Anytime a Democrat runs for anything any Democrat ever said is applied to them. We've got all these local Republicans who are supporting people who are disappearing people on the streets. And you know that HPD is cooperating with ICE, despite the fact Mayor Whitmire said they wouldn't. Anybody abducted can be disappeared to the torture prison. Hold the 6 Republicans on city council accountable and hold local officials accountable for what's going on. And you can speak at council. You can go Tuesday, talk about anything you want. You can sign up. You can talk on any subject, including how locally we're dealing with Trump and Musk.
Now, Neil, you actually gave a speech on the 50501 platform. I think it was on this weekend. And one of the things
19th, this past Saturday.
I don't know if you, I don't know if I told you, but I actually made a blog out of the speech that you did, and pointed it out because what I wanted to show, and I used it nationally. What I wanted to show is you made some very specific points in that speech where you actually said the next protest, the next action is going to be conducted by you. And that's a message that resonated throughout the country. And I think that is something that we're seeing across the country. People are just picking up and saying, I've got to do something to stop this runaway evil train. And you also pointed out in your speech that people needed to work not only nationally, but locally. And you actually gave them specifics with city council, specifics with how to work with city council. So I think that was an important message if you want to expand on that.
Right. The next protest is when you organize it. And the First Amendment is your permit. We've seen these statistics. Tesla had a 71% drop in profit. That's because average people protested, put pressure on it. They didn't wait for any elected official. The next protest will be when you organize it. You get 5, 6, 7 people. You've done a great thing. And you can protest on a corner. You can protest in front of a home. You can protest on a sidewalk. You don't need in a specific elected official's home. You don't need any permit for that. You need a sound permit sometimes if you have sound, electronic sound. And with council, again, I made the point, you can sign up with the city clerk at any point over the week. The earlier in the week you sign up, so public comment time is 2:00 on Tuesdays. You can sign up the week before. The earlier you sign up, the more up on the speakers list you'll be, because there can be a wait. You can ask them, NOAA's being cut, FEMA's being cut. Why aren't you saying a word? Mayor Whitmire said that ICE wouldn't be working with HPD. They are. He's not forthright about it. You see that citizens or people legally here are going to the torture prison. Authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure. Those migrants won't round up themselves. Project 2025 will have to be implemented. Local police are working with ICE. And it's up to each of us at the local level. I say the same thing over and over and over and over. Here locally, it matters. This is a giant city, a giant county. We have to have each other's backs. And you have the capacity to act. And you see the law firms cave. Thankfully, some of the universities are fighting back, but still many cave. The elected officials have to be pressed to act. And it's really going to be up. I really believe it's going to be up to people who are not connected to the system. People with autonomy are going to have to find each other and act. And I think that's going to be critical to saving us. I think it's way more than a crusade to say that it's up to us.
You know, and that is a message that we have to get. Now, I'm going to be less generous than you are. Where you said where you get 5 or 6 people, you can go out there and protest without any. Let me tell you, and I mean this to everybody that's listening. Neil says 5 or 6. Egberto think one is enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
If
Yeah.
you are passionate about something, that one sign can actually work miracles. I remember when we did Occupy Kingwood. Think about that. Occupy Kingwood. I remember one day it was storming. And I looked at my wife and I asked her to carry me out to the corner where we did Occupy Kingwood every day. And that one sign, I wanted her, we do a video every week for those 52 weeks. And that one sign up that I had, I made her video or asked her to video that of me holding the sign up with the rain coming down and the thunder going. I'm a crazy guy. And the thunder going. And then she went back home and I put up all our pictures around. And you know what? That was one of our better Saturdays. When people saw that, people started to come out. I can imagine somebody says, you know, crazy Egberto's on that corner or something, you know? And people just came out and out. So one person can be a catalyst for something happening. I want to welcome Glenn Ryan in the chat, as well as Lisa Blair says the echo is gone. Required WPX. Eric Hayes, welcome aboard as well. All of you that I have yet mentioned. And the Substack is a little bit, it's... I lost the newcomers, but there are a whole bunch. Jennifer Hunter, Lindy, Crazy Old Man, Kathleen Voss, Suzette Jensen says no echo now. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Anyhow,
let me
go ahead.
Before we move on, I strongly agree with that one person statement. And in New York, I saw Zuccotti Park,
Where it started.
Occupy Wall Street began. I hadn't realized. I probably knew at the time. I hadn't realized how small it is. Have you seen
Yes.
it, Egberto?
Yes.
Right? And it's this little, it's literally this little park, but it made that world impact. It was really just a small city, concrete laden park. And it made all that world impact.
You know, let me add something to that, because I want folks to realize this. We were at a turning point with Occupy Wall Street. The Wall Street feared Occupy Wall Street. The plutocracy feared Occupy Wall Street because the people were learning and understanding what we speak about here quite often, the predatory nature of our economic system. And the reason Democratic and Republican politicians alike shut it down. I remember when we were out here in Occupy Houston, there was a particular councilwoman that came out and said, hey guys, please do X, Y, and Z, because they are looking for a reason to kick you guys out and shut it down. A councilwoman came to us specifically and told us that. But we were starting to get into the psyche of the American folks to realize that the whole economic system was a scam. And that was the biggest fear. Now we have to use all other methods to point that out. But anyway, let's start getting some calls. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
I love that handle, crazy old man.
Can you hear Johnny?
And I like.
There's a big echo on that, I hear.
Okay, go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I don't hear an echo on my side. I sound okay.
Yeah, I got to try to. There are a few kinks that because Neil wasn't here and I reset things for Bruce, that things got a little bit different. So I'm going to try to fix Neil up in a minute. But go ahead.
Okay. So I'll go quickly then, so you guys can fix your technical issue. I have an answer for people in power like Lisa Murkowski, whether she's a Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. The fact that when they say, and they get time to say, and they don't get challenged by reporters, obviously, when they say, "Oh, I'm frightened, I'm intimidated by Donald Trump." No, she's not. Donald Trump is one guy. He's just a man. What she's really saying is she's afraid of retaliation from his henchmen, his volunteers, both paid and volunteer guys, current and former law enforcement, and other white guys who have an axe to grind, who aren't well educated, who are the poorly educated that Donald Trump pretends to love so much. So how do we counter that? It's like I mentioned to you last Friday, I think it was. I asked you about, are you aware of any plans in the works by Indivisible and Move On and Code Pink and groups like that who are ready, willing, and able, and have the resources, mind you. It takes resources. It takes money to be able to assemble people, train people physically as well as intellectually and legally, with legal training and volunteer lawyers standing by, have these autonomous groups of volunteers who track and monitor and surveil certain people who are at high risk of arrest to show up when they need, at a moment's notice, when cops show up anonymously like they do, hiding their faces, to counter them, overwhelm them with numbers, and some volunteer law enforcement right there to challenge them physically and arrest them if they refuse to identify and show their badges. We've got to short-circuit that process. If we do that enough, guess what? Donald Trump's power goes away. It goes away. Remember that. The only power he has is because he has enough volunteers and paid people in law enforcement to scare the bejesus out of people and disappear people. And these people are acting outside the law. We have the law on our side, and we have to act accordingly. And Lisa Murkowski, quit talking like a punk-ass bitch. We don't need to hear that kind of talk.
Oh. Can't do that. Can't do that.
Okay, whatever. Listen to Alberto Willie's Miss Murkowski. That's all
No
I
problem,
gotta
my
say.
dear Johnny. Thank you very much for your commentary, my brother. I got to run to tag, all right? But let me tell you, Johnny is absolutely right that you have to go out there and challenge the system. The system is only good. Donald Trump can only have power if he has the power of the base. Remember that. That's the only. Don't you agree, Neil?
Yeah, I don't have sympathy for. My father was able to fight for a year. The Chinese Korean border, Korean War. So these elected representatives can take the risk. And those people standing in Tesla dealerships, it's not like being in war, but they are in this environment. And I feel in some things, you are assuming some measure of physical risk, and the electeds can do it too.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and get Brother Tag into the conversation. Tag, how are you doing this morning, my brother?
Good, thank you, Egberto. Just a quick word about protests.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what this show's about this morning.
Sure.
I'm looking at the rise of Tesla and how did that happen? Because Tesla come on pretty strong and economically, and it wasn't all due to Musk's genius. I think Americans were protesting the status quo when they went to buying a Tesla car because they wanted to get away from these ICE vehicles, the Detroit, the Big Three, and all that. And so Tusk really rode a tidal wave of this protest economically or manufacturing. But what happened is that when he surrendered and went to the other side, all of a sudden that groundswell dropped out from under him because now all of a sudden, if you're not going to buy a Tesla anymore to protest anything. So I think that's why it's going to be tough for Elon Musk to make a comeback on this deal. What do you think about that idea?
Actually, you nailed it. Let me let you know this specifically. All right, and that is Musk never created anything. Ever.
No.
Never. Secondly, you are correct that people wanted to buy that all-electric car, and Musk was one of the vanity kind of guys that put it out. He bought a company, and that with a lot of the easy dollars he made during the bro revolution of you put up a website and you become a billionaire. That's how he got his wealth. He didn't get his wealth from inventing anything. He got his wealth from this fraudulent type of economic system I talk about. In other words, he didn't create anything. And when it was, everybody talk about the genius of this guy because he was able to have SpaceX, because he's able to have all these other things. He never created any of these. This is just capital that he was fortunate to be invited into the club of capital. And he used capital to purchase the ingenuity and intellect of others. But here's the kicker. When it was dependent on his intellect and his forming an organization to actually get something done, guess what happened? He failed. Doge was the first time something created by Elon Musk, something executed by Elon Musk, that was the first time he could say, this is mine. And the one thing that he was in charge of, for real, that was his, he failed miserably. First, I am going to save $2 trillion. Anybody with any level of intellect knowing the size of the national budget knew that $2 trillion saving was a ridiculous claim. $1 trillion saving was a ridiculous claim, especially if you're not going towards the Pentagon. And it turns out that even the $150 billion savings that they finally ended up with, $150 billion, peanuts in the budget, as you wrecked employment, as you wrecked the know-how of many people in that in the government. And when checked, it was way under $150 billion that he actually saved. It shows you that when dependent on his intellect, he is a complete, utter failure because he has very little of that. And folks, you don't hear that because, again, the mainstream media sees rockets. They talk about him having a flight. The guy has done what we have done since the 1960s in NASA. He has done nothing more than we have done in the 60s. Go ahead, Tag.
Yeah, let me say this about Doge. I think Doge, Musk took on Doge as the next form of protest against the status quo. And in the final analysis, that protest by him and all the maggots are going to fail. It just is not going to work out. And one quick thing I want to say about Musk is that if he sold a electric car with a solar panel, batteries, and all the stuff to be able to maintain that car's charge offline, he'd have a great new revolution. But I don't see him doing that. So with that, I'm going to go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank
okay,
you.
Neil, do you want to add to that? And folks had lost your voice for a while. Answer that. Let's make sure that the people online can hear you. Go ahead, Neil.
No, I don't have anything to add to that comment.
Okay. All right, great. I saw your signals go over, so we should be okay there. All right, let's go to Betty, line 3.
Morning, Alberto.
Good morning, sis. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I stand on Trump. I will say this. I do rub some people wrong. Trump did take away my golden years. He made and make women feel like a twit and a slut. Women are like the moon, golden. What I say about Trump, he understands. When you let something take you over, you lose your ability and common sense. And to a queen, you were in the right place with the right lady in New York. She stands for somewhere over the rainbow. Love y'all.
Thank you so kindly, my dear Betty. All right, let's go to line 1. Donald, come on in, Donald.
Hey, good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Neil. How are you guys?
Good morning. Hello.
By the way, Donald, I want to let you know that I got your poem. I haven't put it up as a block yet, but I continue to love your expression. Okay, I think I replied to you.
All righty. Oh, yes, sir. I'll check my emails. I don't check them often. But what I was going to say is, hey, what you need to do is Neil needs to dress up like Benjamin Franklin, and you need to dress up like Uncle Sam, and you need to tell the truth as Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam needs you, but you need to say, and then Benjamin Franklin over there says, yeah, we need your taxes, we need your cheap labor, blah, blah, blah. And you need to dismiss all the myths behind the propaganda. Because it is close to the birthday, right? And it would be right there fitting. But that's all I got to say.
Thank you, my brother Donald. Are you ready to
No,
do that?
I was in Times Square. I went to see the Alicia Keys musical, Hell's Kitchen, when I was in New York, and I saw Minnie Mouse and Daisy Duck, but I'd heard all these stories like if you let them take a picture of you and you don't give them enough money, they start yelling at you. So I stayed away. I stayed away from all the people in costumes over there.
Well, why did you stay away now?
I've heard these stories, that if you're in Times Square and you take a picture with Elmo or Spider-Man, you don't give them enough money, they berate you. Apparently, there's been a series of incidents, so I stayed away from Daisy Duck. I was like, no, don't come near me. I had never been to Times Square, and this was a Tuesday night, and man, was it mob at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. It was just mob. I was just like, who on earth are all these people on a Tuesday night? But there they were.
That's the tourists and everybody coming in. And New York, they call New York the city that never sleeps, right? Yeah, I went to New York when my daughter graduated with her master's, and I just don't like the place. I mean, it's a cultural city, I know, but I just can't get into it. But anyway, it looks like we have Brian on the line. Come on in, Brian. Oh, we can't hear Neil. Interesting. Let's see. I keep having that particular issue. Okay, let's hope they can hear you now. All right, let's go ahead and bring Brian into the fold. Brian, what's up?
Yeah, where's the leadership of the Democratic Party right now? What are they doing? Are they going to run on just bash Trump? Is that all that they're doing right now?
Well, no, not really. If what you hear is just bashing Trump and not what progressives are out there saying we want to do for everybody, including you, Brian, that is a function of the media that you listen to. But no, we don't have a one leader like you guys have in Donald Trump, where you march lockstep with him. We actually have many leaders with various point of views and a very active progressive movement now that is dislodging itself from the neoliberal mechanism. So no, I mean, change your news sources and you'll find out that there's a hell of a lot of leaders out there. Neil, you want to add to that? Hold on, let's have Neil add to that. Neil, come on in.
Yeah, I think I think there are. I just say I think we're going to have to press them. That we as rank and file active people are going to have to press them to go in the direction you want. So be active and be active locally.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to make sure with our online viewers if you can actually hear Neil now, because I think I'm still messing with some kinks here. Let us know if you can hear Neil now. Continue, Brian.
I listen to all forms of news and communication, and I make my own decisions. And that's all I see that the Democrats, that's what they're running on. Hate Donald Trump, hate Elon Musk, hate the direction that the Republicans are going. He's not a dictator.
Well, if how can you say he's not a dictator when he's trying to do things like take people off the streets without taking them to court? Is that what you expect out of a president?
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm very glad you brought that up. What persons did he take off the street? How many without due process?
First of all, one person without due process is one too many. Don't you agree?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay, well then you believe in dictatorship. Absolutely.
What? No. Was he an American citizen?
Let me ask you this, Brian. Let me ask you this. No, I'm not answering that because that's the wrong question. Let me tell you what you are going to answer if you want to, and that is the following. If ICE goes and picks up Brian, and just goes ahead and throws Brian on a plane to El Salvador. Would you agree with that, yes or no?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay, so that is exactly what he does. We don't know what
It's not what he did. We do know.
we
do
know what. What I'm saying, Brian, is all we have is the word of Donald Trump that he have good reason to throw those 200 and something people that he sent to El Salvador, unless we have a check on the executive to ensure they're not just picking anybody up and saying, oh, he's an illegal, so we can do it without entry. That's all we're talking about, Brian. We're not saying not to deport folks. We're saying we're not going to blindly believe the dictator who says that we are going, that's, believe me, he is. We don't believe that. We want it to be handled in court. That's what courts are made for.
No, and that's why I do not call Donald Trump the dictator. He wants to go to court. A dictator would do the exact opposite. Your
Okay,
narrative.
let me tell you, Howard points out something that is very important. Howard says that the guy was under a no deport court order. In other words, the court order had a no deport clause in it. And Donald Trump says, to hell with that, he's deported. That is unconstitutional if you violate what the court has told you. That's a dictator.
He's an illegal alien. Therefore, he has no standing in the court jurisdiction.
Okay, again, that's not constitutional. The Constitution doesn't say only citizens have rights. It says all people have rights. Read your Constitution. I thought you guys who praise the Constitution did that. Anyway, I got to move on. Let's go to Patrick.
Yeah, I can keep it short. The due process is for everybody in the United States, regardless of...
Patrick, repeat that, Patrick, because apparently the people who like to claim they are constitutional do not understand the words of the Constitution. Repeat that, please.
Yeah, I was just saying that due process is for everybody here. It's regardless of residency status. And then if you don't believe me, you can just refer to Lincoln. He expounded on it when he was asked about it, and he said that it was for absolutely everybody. So I guess the founders and some of the first leaders didn't know as well as Brian.
Well, I mean, they wrote the thing, and that's what they said. The words are absolute. Again, what happens is it's hard for these guys to accept that what they've elected was an incompetent dictator, and because we point out the incompetences, we are bashing him. As we have somebody on LBW on Substack says to the caller, I think you might be confusing bashing Trump with pushing back against anti-democratic policies and behaviors. Also, due process is for everyone who is within our borders. That is very important. I have some very smart listeners. Anything else before we move on, Patrick?
Yeah, I was just pointing out that the people that don't understand the complexities of the protections that were built into our Constitution by our forefathers. They saw the potential for things like this, and that's why they wrote these types of policies. That's all I have to say.
And more importantly, that's why we couldn't get a constitutional ratified without the Bill of Rights. And a lot of people don't get it. The Bill of Rights actually appointed what the individual was, what rights the individual had that the collective couldn't even go against. So thank you very much for that, Patrick. All right, let's go to Jim. Come on in, Jim.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. You're pretty busy. I'm pretty busy, so I'll keep this quick. Brian is right. Trump isn't a dictator. But here's my question. If Trump really is this big, bad dictator that's controlling the media and just doing whatever he wants and all that other jazz, why are you still on air? With all due respect, you've done nothing but talk bad about him for as long as I've listened to you, really. And now he's the president. He's in charge, and yet you are, well, you're still talking bad, and yet you have not been arrested. You have not had your rights taken away. You've not been silenced. You're still on this show talking bad about Trump, talking about his flaws, his falsehood, how he's not all that smart and great, and not a good leader, and a dictator. Well, if he's a dictator, why are you still here then? Why are you still talking?
Let me, actually, you have a very good point, Jim. You have a very good point. And it's not hard to explain what's really happening. A dictator doesn't become an absolute dictator immediately on a country the size of America, 330-something million people. He starts with different things, and you can read on tyranny if you want to understand how this stuff works. We don't work on emotion here. We worked on policies and what's actually happening. And he's going through all the different steps. One, starting to control colleges. That's one, universities. Two, doing things like picking people off the streets. It's the little things that it's a death by 1,000 cuts. Eventually, if we don't stop him by popular demand, eventually I won't be here. That's a statement of fact, because what he will do is shut down the public airwaves as well. We're a 501c3 that is there to educate. I can guarantee you there's not one thing that I have said about Donald Trump that you could prove wrong. Absolutely nothing. That he lacks intellect, that he's dumb, that he has been accused of being a rapist, that he has been convicted of being a sexual assaulter, that he has stolen money from a 501c3, that every single Operation Sans One, he has bankrupted, and you guys have said you elected him because he's a businessman. Well, what business of his was successful? Everything that I have just said is truthful, factual, and can be looked up. You chose to elect that guy, and you chose to close your eyes to all those things. You chose that, and you're going to live with that. You chose a guy that is taking away rights from women. You chose a guy that is actually cutting programs that actually heals. You chose a guy that has chosen to starve people around the country. That doesn't say much about Donald Trump, but it does say a lot about you, my friend. And what I'm trying to do with what I do here is have all of you open your eyes to what reality says. But Jim, give me a 10-second closer. I got to go to Lester.
I voted for none of that. I voted for someone that could help rebuild this country and help make it great.
Well, brother, it has been proven that your vote failed, because what he has done is put the world economy in turmoil, and that's not me saying. That's every country, every department saying. Those of you who stick with the crap that he's doing, we have to fight against what you guys are supporting. But you guys better wake up. Thank you, Jim. You have a wonderful day, my brother. Let's go to Lester.
Yeah, brother, I ain't going to ask you how you doing for the 99th time. The last caller, Jim, and I think the other gentleman, Brian, I agree with those two guys wholeheartedly. I don't think Donald Trump is a dictator. Donald Trump is the type of man that, you know how a lot of people, they see something, but they too scared to speak up and go against the status quo. Donald Trump, he that kind of guy. He not scared to speak up and speak out. It's a whole lot of stuff that Donald Trump do that I disagree with, but I think the man truly loves America. I don't think it's about black and white. I don't think it's about rich and poor. I just think it's about making America great like it used to be. I'm sick and tired of all these people.
Hold on a second, my brother.
Don't cut me off.
No, brother, no. I'm only. Let me tell you why I cut that part. When you say "make America great again," you scare me. I want to know.
He finished.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead. Finish, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I'm through after this. I'm 64 years old. I know how it was to be black in America during that time. I ain't talking about that make America great again. I'm talking about putting America first every place I go, you got people that don't speak the language. They got all the jobs. My kid can't find a job. That's all I'm saying, man. The man just trying to put America first. That's all I got, man, because I know you run out of time. And thank you.
All right. Thank Lester. Thank you, but I thank you. And let's see how much time I got here. I don't have enough time to really go into a full answer for you, so I'll do that tomorrow. Let me close out with Johnny. Come on in, Johnny. Give me the last words before we get to the studio and Neil.
Okay, real quickly. Both Lester and Jim suffer from purposeful, convenient amnesia. All we can do is make them aware of this great book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I know I keep plugging this guy's book, but it keeps coming up all the time. And Brian, Jesus Christ, all of a sudden now you want us to believe that cops are omniscient, that they have the ability to look at someone on the street without any aid, and they know who that person is and what they've done or what they've not done, and that they have the power and the righteousness to arrest them or disappear them without the assistance of a courtroom.
Okay, Johnny, I got to go. So wrap her up real quick, my brother.
In other words, we don't need Discovery. We just need cops who have come from the military and like to eat at Whataburger. That's all.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one. Let me go to the studio. Hey, studio, close her out for me.
Oh, nothing here, Egberto. Jack, you got anything?
Let Neil go.
Okay. He says let Neil go. So go ahead and go, Neil.
All right, Neil, and please remember to say your website the right way, Neil.
HoustonDemocracyProject.com. It's there. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Houston. So real quick list here: Humble, Pasadena, Spring Branch, Katy, Clear Creek, San Jacinto College Board, Manville, Alvin, Pearland, Brazosport, Fort Bend, ISD, South Houston. You have elections, other communities as well. May 3rd at HoustonDemocracyProject.com. On the blog, there's a list of some candidates you can vote for. These are really low turnout elections. 5, 6, 7%. Your vote or your call to someone else could make the difference.
Well, look, Neil, thank you very much for being here today. As usual on Thursdays, we miss you the 2 days, but Bruce Pollard did a real good job in standing in for you. Folks, you can find the rest of the program at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. You can email me directly at kpft@politicsandright.com. That is kpft@politicsandright.com. Thank you all on Substack and all the different networks, including Instagram, YouTube Live, and all the others. Thank you for being here. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by